are at Many Hands Organic Farm in Barre, Massachusetts. We've been here for 41 years now, and we are going to talk to you about pruning grapes and also cultural management for grapes. And I also want to invite you, if you see this before April 1st, 2023, to come to our fruit management workshop, which will be addressing apples, peaches, pears, persimmons, pawpaws, all the pea fruits, and a lot of small fruits too. We'll be talking about blueberries, elderberries, gooseberries, aronia, red raspberries, blackberries, etc., etc. So we do a lot of fruit here because we like it so much. But however, today we want to talk a little more thoroughly about how to prune grapes. It's a little bit of a challenging thing, and though I've been here for many, many years, like 41, I still don't feel comfortable pruning grapes. So Claire is our head grape pruner these days with
under Jack's guidance.
Under Jack's guidance, right? Jack comes in and helps a bit in the grapes too. But I'm all about the cultural things, like how to make them healthy. And so we have these, we actually built this solar home in 1982, and we wanted to have part of it underground so that we could make use of the earth burning. And so we have on both sides of the house this retaining wall that, so behind all that is all our basement, and it's underground, and there's a root cellar back in the north west corner, etc. But one of the things we wanted to do is to kind of obscure this ugly, I think it's a very ugly retaining wall. So one of the ways we obscure them, the other one, we have a woodshed in front of them, so we put the grape trellis in front. And it is south-facing, so it's really great for the grapes to get lots of sunshine and good air drainage, etc., etc. So one of the things we do with all of our fruit is to make sure that we have as highest fertility as possible. We do that with our vegetables too, of course. But we do a soil test every year, and we, based on that soil test and based somewhat on just our past experiences, we will put down a little bit of ProGrow, which is a blended fertilizer that comes from North Country Organics in Vermont. Paul Sachs, who really started that company, really has a good handle on really good organic fertilizers. And now they're adding inoculants and biostimulants and things into the fertilizer too. So it's a great all-purpose fertilizer, ProGrow. But then we'll also add, as needed, calcium, usually in the form of gypsum. We did a lot of calcium carbonate back in the day when we needed to bring our calcium levels up, but we're really in a good place with that. We also will use some micronutrients, a little bit of sulfur, a little bit of boron, sometimes a little bit of zinc or copper, but it based basically on our Logan Labs soil test. So that's once a year that we do that. And then we also have a very intricate foliar program, which we do starting around April 1st and going really until November 1st, weekly, on all of our vegetables and all of our fruit. And we work with the Advancing Eco Agriculture Company in Middlefield, Ohio, to put together recipes for that. And for these small fruits like grapes, and we actually, I think, Claire, we're just using a blueberry one for all of our small fruits now, right?
Right.
We have an advanced blueberry because we were struggling with our blueberries not really giving us what we wanted, and so they helped ramp up our program, and so we use that on all of our small fruits, and it has miraculous results, really. The big diseases that you might get with grapes are they get a little brown spot on them, and then they will fall off, some sort of a fungal disease. And we haven't seen any of that for the last 2-3 years. Been very excited about that. And then the flavor that we get from the grapes is just super, super sweet. So we've been making grape juice from our grapes for many, many years. And the way we make that is to boil the grapes down. Just put them in a big pot, big 5-gallon pot, boil it down, and then it happens really quickly that the skins will break. We take them off the fire, and then we run them through a Foley food mill to get the juice out. And then we'll can it. Basically put it in a quart jar and do the bath process, with that. Screw on the lids and boil them for 15 minutes, and you're done, and you have grape juice for the rest of the year. Well, in the past, when we made grape juice, it was so not astringent so much. It's just really sour, and we felt like we had to add honey to it in order to make it really palatable. But these days, with the high mineral content that we have in our grapes, it's just super sweet, and it's just really
delicious.
It's delicious. Paul is one of my
Delicious.
best customers. Loaded with resveratrol. Really good for the heart and many other things too. But that's one of the beauties of having really high quality fruit, is that not only do you, the diseases go away, the insects don't become a problem anymore, and the flavor just really goes off the charts. And so it's true with our apples and our apple juice. We have a friend who comes over and he says that this is like the best time of my life when I come and have apple juice at breakfast every Sunday morning when he shows up. So we're really excited about our fruit, and our grandkids are talked into eating all sorts of things for supper if they get peaches at the end. So we warm up the frozen peaches, and then that's a great dessert that they look forward to. So it's across the board. It's really wonderful. So we also put down a lot of mulch here. Now this is our chickens are going to be locked up in their mobile pens. They don't know this yet, but 3 days from now they're going to be out on pasture in their mobile pens. But right now they're doing a lot of work here, cleaning this all up around it, and we have flowers in front. But then we'll mulch this very heavily, and we mulch all of our fruits, most of our vegetables too, very heavily. Wood chips or hay or straw or whatever we can find, essentially. And with that, and then this weekly spray program, which starts out with a pre-season spray and then moves into a prior to budding spray, a fruit fill spray, a fruit production spray, and then at the end there's the end of the season, trying to figure out how the best thing to get those canes in really good shape to make it through the winter. So that's a little bit about the management. Oh, Claire wanted me to talk about bindweed.
Oh yeah.
Grapes we've been taking wild grapes and bittersweet out of our fruit trees and all of our trees on the property of late, as they really just destroy, wrap around and destroy trees. Well, bindweed is just an annual, which is wild morning glory, and it will wrap itself around grapes and raspberries and all sorts of things, and also do its damnedest to suck the life out of them. So we come through here, and we're in and out of this greenhouse a lot. We walk out here and we just pull the bindweed up from the root and then let it die, and then it'll just we don't have to worry about unwrapping it from the plant. But that's our biggest challenge, I think, in terms of weeds. Is there anything else besides bindweed that we struggle with? I don't think so.
Here, no, I don't think so. We did put a lot of hay, that beautiful straw down here last year.
Yeah.
And it'll get mulched again. And I think it's just bindweed that's a problem here.
So I'm going to turn it over to Claire now, who's going to just talk to you about what we're doing here to prepare this grape pig for this good production this year.
So grapes are very vigorous climbing vines. They want to climb up, and it's a bit overwhelming when you first come to prune your grapes in the spring because there's so much growth here. We will end up taking off about 80%. I mean, yeah, it could be up to 90% of what was here between new canes and last year's canes will be taken off. And we're just selecting first year canes that will produce shoots that will be where the fruit is. So we prune the grapes so that they stay very productive in the area where we want to work. So this is the south facing wall of the house. This gets a lot of sun, so these are very vigorous here. And we have the horizontal wires going across. There's a low one, but I don't think I'm going to use that low one. I think we'll just tie fruiting canes on these top horizontals. So to identify the fruiting canes, this is also a very good time of year to be pruning grapes. This is late March, but I would say, late February and early March is also fine. We have pruned them in the past when it's kind of later and there's dripping sap when we cut. And I don't think it hurts the plants, but I kind of think I'm happy we're doing it a little earlier this year. So this is the main trunk of the grape plant, and this is called the head of the trunk. And ideally, we want to find first year canes that are as close to the trunk as possible. I have these flagged right now. Before I started cutting anything, I wanted to identify canes that I liked for fruiting, for this year's fruit, and also identify canes that will trim back, creating a spur those will be renewal canes for next year's fruit. So these first year canes, like this is a first year cane, the bark, I don't know if you can get close enough to see that the bark on the first year cane is kind of a reddish brownish, and it's smooth, and you have buds. The older wood is kind of peeling, like this is older wood, probably second year, and that's kind of peeling, darker brown peeling bark. So these buds will open up into shoots, and that will be where the grapes produce fruit. So right now we're choosing, for this area, I think we want to have about 8 fruiting canes for fruit this year. Because we don't have another grape over here, we can have canes we can tie a lot of canes going in that direction, and there's not so much space going that way. So what we've done is mark canes that we want to keep. These are maybe 1/4 to 1/2 inch in diameter, maybe the size of like your pinky finger. And so you're gonna tie the cane onto the trellis and then trim it back. This was much longer, so we're concentrating the fruit closer to the trunk, so we trimmed it back. This is probably 10 buds, and this is another nice one. I mean, it's getting a little further away from
Is there
the
a
main
rule
trunk.
of thumb for buds, like how many buds you want?
Oh, we want to keep like 8 to 10 buds. I mean, it also depends on like the space you're filling, but I think having the fruit closer to the trunk, and this is all, I mean, this is gonna really be a full canopy in the summer, after even when we've taken everything off and it looks like there's nothing left. This will completely fill up with a canopy over the summer. So Leslie has been tying the canes that we're keeping for this year's fruit, and this one I marked because I might try to plant it over here. Well, it might have gotten cut. I don't know, maybe we'll have to take this off. So these that have been marked with the orange tape are going to be this year's fruit, and these canes that I marked with yellow, I'm going to cut back, just leaving 2 buds, and those will be renewal canes for next year's fruiting, because it's a way to sort of continue to have strong fruiting canes that are very close to the trunk. So these will prune all the way back to just 2 buds. And yeah, come to the workshop, and we're going to do more grape pruning together on April 1st. Thank you.